Welcome to the Paul Farrington Show, a solo Paul record today. Ziggy was actually up this weekend. We went to the Notre Dame Navy game. Jack was with us. We had a great time. Got to see a bunch of college friends. He's training back to Virginia right now, so we'll have a much bigger reaction to the NFL Week 8 slate tomorrow. Today, just going to touch on the Packers and Jaguars. Going to hit the Colts Texans. That's another big AFC South game that happened today. And then we'll get into a lot more of the league tomorrow. We'll hit the Lions, another crazy Lions win. I mean, I don't know how they're scoring points at this rate. Every time you look at the television, it seems Jared Goff's or even David Montgomery's throwing touchdown passes. They're really just, they're just messing around with the league at this point. That offense is so much fun to watch. Not when you're an NFC North fan, though, because we're going to have to deal with it a lot more this season with all those matchups coming up. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying this. We appreciate everybody who's been watching lately. We've had awesome numbers. It's great to see the engagement we've gotten. It seems everyone's having a lot of fun right now, so we appreciate that. We'll dive into the Packers game. This is just infuriating to watch as a Viking fan because you think the Jaguars are going to be able to pull it off without Jordan Love in there. They tie the game, and then Green Bay is able to win again in the final seconds. Back-to-back game-winning field goals for them over the past 2 weeks, and you just go, oh, come on. Like, you need one of these games, especially with the Vikings faltering lately, for Green Bay to be here at 6-2. Detroit's on fire. I mean, the NFC North is just crazy right now. Chicago's going to lose, but it's looking like they're going to lose. We'll see what happens. So anyway, Packers game. The big story is Jordan Love's injury. He got hurt really on the first drive there, towards the end of their first drive. It turned out to be a groin injury. Matt LaFleur doesn't know the extent of it right now. We'll probably find out more Monday morning just how bad it is for Love. He was on the sideline walking around, though. LaFleur said, of course, there's high concern. You never know with your starting quarterback getting injured. We'll get into the Packers schedule a little later, but it's starting to pick up. So he's got to get healthy. You need him. Malik Willis comes in. Malik Willis kind of owns the AFC South. The Packers swept the AFC South today, and Malik Willis won 3 of those games. He beat the Colts. He beat the Titans, and now he's beaten the Jaguars. It was a really impressive game for Green Bay, who, they lose their starting quarterback again. And Malik comes in, and he's just been extremely valuable to them this entire season. Malik Willis is, I said it after the Colts game, he's earned himself millions of dollars this year because he's shown, it's really remarkable. He's shown to be a very competent backup quarterback in the NFL. And we've seen the importance of backup quarterbacks over the past few years with all the injuries last season. Kirk goes down. Joe Burrow was hurt. A ton of different, Anthony Richardson hurt early in the year. Joe Flacco came in for the Browns. Look what he did. It was, the backup quarterback position, you kind of gloss over it, but then all of a sudden your guy's on the ground and you want to stay viable. And then in the NFC North, all these games that Malik Willis has won for the Packers is keeping their Super Bowl hopes alive because they still have a chance at the division. And he's just done a fantastic job. Today, the offense obviously changes when Malik's in the game. Jordan Love, you have the explosive plays, the downfield threat that he provides. It's one of the best in the league. Obviously, he's a star quarterback. Malik Willis comes in. It's a lot more scrambling, a lot more checkdowns. The offense becomes a little bit more simple, but he's been really effective. And that's something that he wasn't earlier in his career with the Titans. Matt LaFleur's done a really good job of getting him to levels no one ever expected from him. So kudos to Malik Willis. It kind of sucks that he's doing this as a Viking fan, but he's keeping the Packers in a position where even without Jordan Love, they are a very dangerous team. And it was extremely impressive from Malik today, too. He comes in the second half of a game when he hasn't played football for multiple weeks now, live in-game reps. He comes in, they're up 13-10, and the Jaguars wind up taking the lead. 17-13, you're down on the road. Big game because you got to keep pace with the Lions. And Josh Jacobs has that huge touchdown run, a 38-yard touchdown run. He's been so good this year. He had 25 carries, 127 yards today, 2 touchdowns. They really had to rely on him. In the Malik Willis games, they've had a lot of reliance on Josh Jacobs to be great, and he has been this year. You can't overlook that when talking about the 2024 Packers as of right now. But again, you're down on the road. You get the big Josh Jacobs touchdown. Edgerrin Cooper strip sack at Trevor Lawrence. Tucker Kraft gets a touchdown. Next thing you know, it's 27-17. Green Bay's winning. And that was all the buffer room they needed because Jacksonville was able to tie at 27-27, but then you had the big Jayden Reed catch down the sideline to set up another game-winning field goal like I was talking about at the top of the show. So in these situations when Jordan Love has gone down, you've seen everyone on the Packers step up to elevate that team to some big wins. And that's what's really been impressive about them is they've been without Love for 3 games now, if you count today as the third. And in each of those games, you've just seen everyone take it up a notch to another level, making big plays. And that's obviously why with Love, they're so dangerous, because you add one of the best quarterbacks to a roster like that, they can beat anyone. But I was really impressed with Malik. I was really impressed with the entire team stepping up in the absence of Love. So I want to look ahead here to the Packers' schedule coming up. They've got Detroit next week at home, November 3rd. This is what I mean when I say you need Jordan Love to be healthy. I think Malik Willis can get away with beating the Titans, beating the Colts. The Jaguars on the road, still a tough team, but not an elite one. Detroit's an elite team, and you're going to need points to keep up with them. I don't think you're going to be able to run all over them the way that you have Jacksonville and Tennessee without Jordan Love in the game. So you have Detroit, then at Chicago, host San Francisco. You host the Dolphins, who have Tua back now. Then you're at Detroit again. So next 5 games here. I mean, this is the critical piece of the Green Bay schedule. These are the games where you're going to show whether or not you're going to be having a bye come the playoffs. You're going to be the number 1 seed, or if you're going to have to go on the road. And look, they did it last year. They won a big game in Dallas. Probably should have won in San Francisco. But you get those games in Lambeau Field. We had different expectations come January. The outside, Green Bay fans are going to be expecting big things. But the outside people, the media, they're going to place bigger expectations on them if that 1 seed in those playoffs roll through Green Bay. So you need Jordan Love. That's where there's the high level of concern for Packers fans is groin injuries can linger. They're tough. You got you don't want your star quarterback dealing with that in the thick of the schedule here. And we already have the MCL that we're dealing with. So it's a dangerous time for the Packers, even though everyone can take a breath and say, hey, we're 6-2. Even if we drop this to Detroit, we're going to play them again later in the year. I don't know how many more games Detroit's going to lose. And you still have to go to Chicago. I know you own them, but you have San Francisco. You go to Seattle later on in the year. This is a really big game in this upcoming week. And we don't know the extent of the Love injury, but that's where you can find the concern is, okay, we need him healthy. And he clearly was hobbled today. I mean, when you have your star quarterback lying on the ground with medical team around him, that's concerning. So I think it's a great win for the Packers. They've been a great story this year of overcoming the injuries to their quarterback. But when we talk about them as the Super Bowl contender that they are, it starts and ends with Jordan Love being healthy and playing the elite football we saw at the end of last season. And you've gotten glimpses of that. I don't think he's really pulled it together completely, but he had 196 yards basically in a half today. I mean, the guy can sling it. He throws it all over the place. Romeo Doubs has been awesome since demanding to be inserted more into the offense. They are a great football team that needs their star to win a Super Bowl. And we'll see what winds up happening with the groin here. And how about Brandon McManus? I mean, all Packers fans have to be so happy with him since coming over. They've had kicking problems for a while now. And McManus, his first 2 games, hasn't missed a kick, 2 game winners. I mean, that I've always thought he's a very good kicker outside of the the personal issues that he has. So adding him to the roster, we'll see how impactful that is as the season goes on. But so far, so good with the Brandon McManus experiment. I was really impressed with Green Bay today. A resilient win for them. Speaking of a resilient win, Texans 23-20 win over the Colts today. Fun back and forth first quarter, trained some big touchdown passes. Josh Downs had a big one, then amazing touchdown run from Joe Mixon, who continues to just be sensational this season. Joe Mixon, 25 carries, 102 yards, touchdown. Go watch his touchdown run if you haven't seen it. It was, just shedding tackles like a madman. He's been such a vital part of this Texans offense. Unfortunately, Stephon Diggs goes down, and it looks like that might be an ACL. Nothing confirmed, but the initial reports and all the Twitter news right now is the fear is an ACL, and that would be a huge blow for them. But ultimately, in the end of this one, the Texans are able to survive a late push from the Colts. Anthony Richardson, Hail Mary attempt. Well, he was never able to get it off. They sacked him and won the game there. Anthony Richardson, 10 for 32, 175 yards, a touchdown and an interception. You just need more if you're a Colts fan. Our friend Tommy Cassius, shout out to Tommy. He listens to the show quite often. He said, I want enough of the Anthony Richardson slander. He said, Tommy's got to complete a pass. Come on, you need more consistency. The whole issue with Anthony Richardson when he came into the league was that he couldn't throw the football to me. I said, I say he's not accurate. And I want my quarterbacks to be able to put the ball where they want it. And I love the running ability is great. I mean, he's 6 rushes, 45 yards today. Part of the concern is that can lead to more injuries, and he's had a lot in his career. But 10 for 32 is just not going to cut it in a game that if you win this, you're in first place in the AFC South. He just wasn't good enough today. And then there was, of course, the big thing with him being tired, and Pat McAfee ripped him on Twitter. He subbed himself out for a couple plays. Joe Flacco came in. It was the 8th game of the season. You'd like to see your quarterback in better shape than that right now. But it is what it is. I'm not going to get on too much. It's just disappointing if you're a Colts fan to look at Anthony Richardson and not see the progression yet. It's still early in his career. He's still only played, like 10 games maybe. So there's a long way to go here, but that needs to be cleaned up for Indianapolis to be taken seriously, because if he's going to, Joe Flacco would have been a better option today. I think most Colts fans agree right now. Joe Flacco is a better option to win games than Anthony Richardson. It's just he's the future, and you need to give him these reps. You have to go through these growing pains. I think more people are starting to question now whether or not the Florida Anthony Richardson of just explosive plays, a few unbelievable plays. He had one where he was just shedding tackle. I think it wound up being a 1-yard rush, but he's shedding tackles and running all over the place. It's one of the best 1-yard rushes you'll see. You have those kind of amazing moments, but then it's a lot of inaccurate balls, a lot of incompletions, and a lot of stagnant offenses for the Colts. Jonathan Taylor can only take you so far. As for Houston, if Stephon Diggs does wind up tearing his ACL, I'm very concerned about that because the offensive line is already quite weak. You're down Nico Collins, who is having arguably the best season of any receiver in football when he went down. If you also take Stephon Diggs out of that offense, there's a lot of pressure on CJ Stroud to be great. And he is great. But when you have, when you're getting the pass rush that everyone's had on them this season, he's under consistent pressure. Joe Mixon's been banged up too. Like how far can CJ Stroud push the Texans himself? It's to me, that would probably be a divisional round playoff game. So they got to button it up on the offensive line. And then if Diggs is out, you got to hope Nico Collins can come back. You still have Nico and Tank Dell, and Mixon is healthy right now. So I still believe in the Texans, but there are concerning pieces all over that offense that make you think maybe this team is going to be capped this season. I don't want to sound down because, at the end of the day, they have a great record and they're playing overall pretty good football, and they're winning games that normally you think they would lose. They're 6-2. They're 6-2. They're going to win the division. They'll have a home playoff game. It's just when you talk about playing Baltimore or you're playing Kansas City, I know they beat Buffalo, but again, Josh Allen's really good at football, guys. How confident are you that you can beat those teams with the offensive line struggles and with a bunch of guys hurt? I'm not sure that I'm buying it. So there's still a lot of season left at the end of the day. We're only halfway through here, and to be 6-2 and have the lead they have in the South is a great place to be. There are just a few pieces that do need to get fixed up. So, all right, let's see here. Texans win, Packers win, big win for Detroit. As I was saying, we're going to have a bigger reaction show coming out tomorrow or Tuesday morning probably, where we hit the entire league. I know people probably want to hear more thoughts on the Lions and the Bears as well. And I'm still not really over that Viking loss from Thursday. That was really, really bad. And Christian Darrisaw being out for the season doesn't help at all with that. I was extremely upset on Friday when that news report came out. Just a horrible 5 days, horrible week of Vikings football. After being 5-0 to have those two losses, I was really upset. You guys can see in the reaction video Thursday night, I was devastated after that. But at the end of the day, you take 5-2. It's a good record. It's one that you can still compete with, and just a readjustment probably of the expectations for the Vikings. So, all right, that'll do it for today. We'll be back in a couple days with more. Thanks for listening to the Paul Farrington Show.